So obviously now you're starting to recover, and that's awesome. Glad to hear it. How does this, when the market collapses like that, how do you even rent a place? Because at some point, it's got to be cheaper to buy these homes, even if they're depreciating in value, than to rent. Like, what's the rental market like there?
We're about 7.5%-8% vacancy rate right now. It's obviously fairly high, and compared to other markets, they think that's insanity. We're starting to kind of dig out of that hole slowly because new construction got shut down, and specifically condos, they basically halted construction on that. So we took time to absorb that inventory. There is, I would call it a bit of a shadow inventory. It's existed for quite a while where guys were stuck with those places. They're renting them out and maybe not making much on them or anything, but at least they weren't bleeding horribly on them. And then as prices have come up, you start seeing those things pop on the market because guys want to get out of them. So we did expect that, even when things started to pick up here, we would have more listings come on market because there was guys that were trying to get out but just couldn't at the time. There was a point where you're looking at going, I can rent for X amount and I can buy for X amount, and those are pretty close. And a lot of people did make that decision. It even still exists today in terms of it's pretty close in terms of cost to purchase something versus cost to rent something.
Yeah. And what are things like in the rest of the province?
So Saskatoon is a little bit of a bellwether, and that is because it's a bigger center, a little bit more, I would call it entrepreneurial. You've got that less of the government influence, more of the professional type of experience there. Yeah, you've got the university, which is a massive driver there. University of Saskatchewan's about 35 to 40,000 students in a town of 325,000 people, so pretty big influence there.
Yeah,
and it's got basically every program under the sun, whether you want to go veterinary, medicine, basic arts, business, it covers everything essentially there. Agriculture, one of the only agriculture institutions in the country, I think, actually. So they kind of got everything. You can go and do everything there. And so they're a driver. Prince Albert is been in a rut for, it seems like, forever. That'd be the third biggest city. Estevan and Weyburn, which are oil producing areas, those guys went through a massive boom. Prices went nuts. Everything went crazy. And then pretty much the carpet got pulled off underneath them, and they're still trying to recover there. And then you've got a lot of smaller centers beyond that.
How's this changed your outlook when you see these other areas of the country doing so well? Because obviously you do these nationwide market updates and you see these markets doing this.
Yep.
What are you saying in your own head to yourself when you see that?
Boy, it's awesome to live in Saskatchewan where I can live a whole lot cheaper than everywhere else can.
Yeah, true. That's what we said here too.
We said that for a while here.
That was the concept. That's what we always said here too. Now everyone's like, I don't know if it's cheaper anymore. Do you have a market? Like, I find here there's a very big market of young people getting into the rental market, like a really strong demand for rental units to own them.
Yeah, I mean,
do you have is there what, like, I guess
do people own or occupy there? Like, is that a thing? Like, I want to have a duplex, I want a house hack, or people like, what houses are so cheap?
Is that going on?
Yes, it does. But again, with the cost of buying being as attractive as it is, most people that are buying are going, I can afford to buy this. So let's take a mid-1960s to mid-70s bungalow, 1,000 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, double detached garage. That's going to go for $300 to $350. At $350 would be kind of on the higher end of a price point for that. Well, that's a nice house in a nice neighborhood. And, again, $15,000 down-ish to buy that thing. Your payments today, $1,400 a month type of thing. So that starts getting pretty attractive. So why you don't really need to house hack necessarily when you can do that.
Yeah, and if there is vacancy issues and stuff like that, anyways, like, it's probably like here again. It seems like house hacking just like, I put a basement apartment in. It's like a guaranteed 100% you're having income there. But like,
and here it's bred out of necessity to some degree.
Yeah, and that's what it's become. Because nobody, exactly. When I first started, nobody talked about buying a bungalow and throwing a basement apartment in. Now every single young couple I have, they buy a house and like, we gotta throw a basement apartment in here because we paid.
Yeah, Airbnb has been a thing here. It sounds like what's going on there. You probably don't have as much of an Airbnb situation. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's still there, no doubt about it. Regina wouldn't be quite as tourism driven as Saskatoon is. Saskatoon definitely has a little bit more of that. Bigger center, a little bit more to do, definitely a more attractive, pretty city. Saskatoon's beautiful. And then, of course, the university market there.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna say, do you also, on that same note of like a lot of young guys getting into it, is there also some bigger player landlords that are like consistently buying, building, going on still, even though that the market's like that? Is there companies that are really still fairly aggressive in continuing to grow their portfolios?
Yeah, starting to now. You're starting to see the investors come back to the market. You know, you've got your bigger guys like your Boardwalks and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of local guys that have got a lot more doors than I think people would expect.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, what does like a 15 unit B grade building trade for per door? Like, what's a good deal or an okay deal?
You know what? I'd have to refer. I got a buddy of mine, and I should have had those numbers offhand, but I don't.
No worries. Yeah, no worries. I mean, it changes so fast, to be honest. Like, well, at least here it's been nuts.
When I was broke, I had rich, had